South Carolina Senator Tim Scott sits on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and he joins us now. And, sir, it's good to have you back on. I want to start this report from the Jerusalem Post revealing the Biden administration sent a message to Iran that any action it took had to be within certain limits. The White House denying today that they knew the time and the scope of the attacks, but it does seem like the White House actually did know.
Well, Rob, one of the things we have to remember is that way back when Joe Biden told Putin, do not have cyber attacks over these areas of our economy. How ridiculous is that? Just as ridiculous as the words that just left your lips. Here's what we know about Joe Biden. Weakness on his part actually invites conflict and chaos. When we had Donald Trump as our president, what happened in the Middle East? The strength of Donald Trump led to the Abraham Accords. And because of the Abraham Accords, even this past weekend, it was the strength of Donald Trump and the Abraham Accords that gave permission, green-lighted a response from Arab nations to be supportive of Israel. The contrast could not be more clear, and the dereliction of duty of Joe Biden stands out in front as shameful, disgusting, and violent. It leads to violence here at home and abroad. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is. It's sad to see. It's sad to see what we've seen inside our own country today, and what we're seeing in the Middle East as the world just continuously on fire with this ridiculous administration. Biden told Iran don't. They're now telling Israel don't respond. Israel is going to respond. Israel, I think has every right to respond at the end of the day. This was not, Iran tried to say that matter's finished now. You started the fight, and now you're hitting again, and you don't want a response.
Rob, I said this on October the 7th. The best offense is a good defense. And frankly, what that means is if you want to slow down the loss of lives, if you want to eliminate chaos, you have to respond mightily and immediately. That meant on October the 7th, targeting Iran, their assets, their resources, and the IRGC. Why? Because if you actually want to stop violence in the Middle East, if you want to stop a Jewish genocide, you hit them where it hurts and you hit them where it starts. What you don't do is release $6 billion in August. What you don't do is release $10 billion in November. What you don't do is relax sanctions on their oil. 40% of their economy comes from oil. What you do is what Donald Trump did.
Senator, I want to ask you about this because we watched the media. If you watched Meet the Press this weekend, they're working to protect the Biden White House from the claims of how they've enriched
Constantly.
Iran. They're working so hard to make sure that people don't believe that they have enabled Iran and enabled all this terrorism around the world. The host of Meet the Press pushing back on House Intel Committee Chairman Mike Turner multiple times, claiming the funds that the Biden administration has released and all of this relief that has been given to Iran over the last couple of years, saying that it's actually still frozen. Take a look at this.
This administration gave it $6 billion to release detainees. It has continued
hold on, those assets were frozen. Congressman, as you know, those were Iranian funds, and the assets are now frozen. Let me ask you this.
This administration permitted Iran to have access to $6 billion that it did not have access to before.
But those assets are frozen and haven't made their way to Iran, as you know, Congressman.
So she's very defiant. What is the truth here about money, Iran, and the Biden administration's moves that have enriched this country? What is the actual truth?
Ridiculous. All you have to have is a pulse to know that money is fungible. If you give a country $6 billion on their credit line, they take the money and they use it. If they don't use those specific $6 billion, they use other resources.
She's saying she's saying that those billions are frozen. She's not even saying it's fungible. She's saying it's not there at all. Is that not true?
Here's what we cannot argue. We cannot argue that by relaxing the sanctions regime on Iran, they have received billions, far more than 16 billion, 30+ billions of dollars from their oil revenue. Who buys the oil? China buys 90% of their oil, and that means billions and billions to the Iranian regime to do what? Sponsor? Where? The Middle East. Why? Because they hate them.
Yeah.
This ain't difficult.